My name's Peter, I'm 62. I work in the AOD space, have done for about 30 years, in a lot of diverse cross sections of the alcohol and other drug and mental health space. A father of 2 lovely children, so that's important. I started using IV drugs when I was about 14. Back in those days, there weren't NSPs and things around. Sharing needles was very common. Went to several detoxes in my late 20s and ended up finally in a detox and then a rehab when I was 31. And it was there that we were sent to a GP or recommended to go to a GP and get tested. And that was the first time I became aware when I was 31. So 17 years later, I became aware that I had hep C. And from that experience of starting to talk to other IV users, I found out that it was pretty common. I don't remember considering it much back then. I guess when you're involved in that kind of lifestyle, it's so kind of survival based anyway. Hep C is probably the furthest thing. It was probably the furthest thing from my mind. That wasn't what was going to kill me. It was going to be an overdose or a car accident or somebody chasing me with a gun or a bad hit, or hep C wasn't going to be what wiped me out. I remember feeling kind of tainted, dirty, and I had my own internal judge as well. It wasn't just judged from out there. I had quite a lot of friends that did really suffer quite severe side effects from hep C. It was a very unpleasant experience for most of them. I regularly monitored my liver. I went for liver function tests every 6 months or something. Generally tried to stay on top of it. My liver wasn't in good shape at all. I did have some lethargy, my eyes were a bit yellow, all of those kind of symptoms, but nothing like what some of my friends went through. And I hate to say it, but because obviously that has an impact with sexual partners. A woman that I had a relationship with actually contracted it from me, which was hideous to know that I passed it on. That's just one of the other side effects of having hep C is you're a carrier and you can pass it on. So I remember this little ray of hope when I heard about the new treatment. Somehow I rang Clinic 60. I went and met this fabulous, incredibly committed, devoted nurse. And she just hooked me up with the right people. I did the right tests, and before you knew it, I was on the new treatment. And it was, my understanding, which is exactly what happened, is it was 3 months, 1 tablet a day, very few side effects. There were some listed, but I didn't experience any. It was all on PBS, it cost me nothing. And it was exactly what they said. It was like this miracle cure. So 3 months later, then you have a window period when after you finish treatment, because there's a chance you can get it back, I think. I kept working through the treatment. Parenting, it didn't impact my life at all. And it was free. It made me realize how lucky I am, to live in a country where that treatment was paid for by the government. I'm not aware that my hep C status impacted my ability to access services. I don't remember being turned away from anywhere. It wasn't that nobody was mandating me to do it, but it was a personal choice because I knew my liver was in bad shape. And I knew, as I said, friends that were very sick. And so I didn't want to get that sick, and I was scared that I was going to get that sick. So there was a lot of fear when I was living with hep C of getting that sick, that I was living with a time bomb. I don't know why somebody might hesitate to have the treatment. Personally, it's not a field of research I've gone into a lot, but I haven't heard any negative stories about the new treatment. We're really trying to break down shame and stigma. These are the conversations that have got to be had. I was a 14-year-old kid doing the best I could to survive at the time in what wasn't a great situation. And through those activities and those behaviours, I contracted a bloodborne virus. And that's not something I'm going to continue to feel shame about for the rest of my life. The fact that I think there's enormous shame around being an IV drug user. And it's not something I would recommend to anybody. But it's not something I'm going to carry shame and stigma around for the rest of my life. As far as I know today, my liver's in reasonably good shape, and that's incredible. Apparently it's one of the most self-repairing organs in the body. But I'm sure that not having to deal with hep C on a daily basis gives it a whole new lease of life. Physically, I know I must be so much healthier by not having that virus in my body. I feel so much healthier. I've made some other lifestyle changes since then, but I just know that virus isn't part of my life anymore. There's a freedom that I feel that when I had the virus, I didn't feel. It's an old story for me. So in terms of it being part of my identity today, it's not. I'm not Peter with hep C.